What's happening, everybody, and welcome to today's video. It's been a while since we have actually done any sort of pickup videos here on the channel, but after kind of talking with some of you guys during some live streams, it seemed like a lot of you were actually interested in them, even though I wasn't really sure if people cared for them. But anyways, so today I'm going to be going over just some of my my movie pickups, and I got some movies and one TV show, I believe. But nonetheless, we're going to start off with a movie that I really enjoy, and that is 2001 Maniacs, and that has Robert Englund in it. The great Robert Englund, that is. But I got this for various reasons. So number one, the movie, I wanted it, obviously. But secondly, I got this because, again, if you're looking at the case, this was a Blockbuster case. And the reason why that meant something to me was because that was how my wife and I originally watched the movie. Was we went to, you know, like some people do or did back in the day. I shouldn't say they do anymore because Blockbuster is closed. But we went out on like a Friday, Saturday night trying to find something to watch, because this was before, obviously, the days of streaming and just having a million things at your fingertips. We were perusing the shelves and stumbled across this, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's give this one a shot. And it didn't disappoint. I really enjoyed the movie, and I thought that it was well put together, and one that, to me, again, when I compare it to some of its counterparts that made it to the cinemas and stuff, I thought this should have at least gotten some sort of theatrical release, but it, to my knowledge, I don't think it did. I think it was a straight to DVD release. But if you are into horror movies and, you know, a little bit of some campy goofiness, but for the most part, I mean, it's not like goofy like that, but you'd know what I mean if you actually sat down and watched it. But if you're into that stuff, I would totally suggest watching 2001 Maniacs. All right, so next up is I have the House series, not House the Doctor, but House the movies. Now, I did not watch the fourth one yet. I have watched the first three, and I did enjoy the first two a lot. Not saying that the third one was necessarily bad. It just, comparing it for the first to the first two, rather, it just had a different vibe to it. It was more dark, whereas the first two were more, I should say, like, at least the first one, it started off kind of feeling like horror, but then it kind of almost went like fantasy route. And that's kind of where the second one was as well. It seemed more, I don't want to say light. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but it definitely was not like how the third one is way more dark with the storyline, but it was really good. It just, I'd have to watch the fourth one to compare if that was the one that stood out the most. But I do believe out of the three, that was the only one that had an R rating. But the reason why I wanted to show you guys this one was I got it on eBay, and yes, this is technically, it is a Region B disc set, but it does actually play on Region A Blu-ray players, and I did test it. I tested all the discs to make sure that they did in fact play on my Blu-ray player, because that's what it was being marketed as. It says that it was Region B, but will play on an American player. And I'm like, okay, so I'll give it a shot. And I tested it, it worked out, everything was good. And the reason why, again, I wanted to bring this up to anybody who is into acquiring sets of movies or TV shows, was that if you were to buy each individual one of these movies as a Blu-ray, I believe they're just shy of $20 a piece. So I only paid, I want to say after tax, it was like 44 or 45 for the set, something like that. But I would say if you're more into more lighthearted, I guess call it, horror, the first two House movies, fantastic. And then if you like darker stuff, the third one is really good. But again, I have to watch the fourth one. But that is all I had to say about the House set. But I would highly suggest for anybody who's a collector to go after this set for sure. All right, next up is the Halloween collection on Blu-ray. That's right, the whole collection. And this was new, sealed. And this one, I believe I paid, I want to say it was 90. 10 movies for under $100. So I basically paid, we'll call it $9 a movie, which is not bad for, again, Blu-ray. Blu-ray is where it's at, in my opinion, when it comes to longevity. And of course, I know people will talk about video quality and they'll dunk on DVD and be like, it's like VHS, but I'm not a purist. As you guys know, just from like the games and stuff I play, graphics aren't everything for me. It's all about the experience. And sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm watching movies, especially like horror movies, if they are a little gritty, I actually like that. I feel like it adds to the experience and kind of a realism take, if you will, because sometimes when stuff is so HD, to me, again, it kind of takes away from what's going on. And I guess it just makes it just too clean. I don't know how to put it other than that, but sometimes I just like that little bit of grittiness to the film and stuff like that. But I was pumped on finally getting all the Halloween movies, even though I did have the Rob Zombie versions already. That's all right. I was just glad that I was able to get the rest of the set, because when I was trying to price out each one individually, it was way more just doing it individually than doing it like that. And I would prefer to have a box set. And I know that there are some collection purists out there that would prefer to buy each individual movie. And I totally understand that. But for me, because there's so much media out there, I don't mind knowing that I have a full box set and not each individual DVD that was, released in of itself. And if you are looking to try to get that set, I don't know if the seller was selling them still, but again, you can look it up on eBay. And like I said, it was like around like 85 or something like that for the whole set. All right, so this next one, it's not a horror thing. No, this is technically it's a kid's show, but it was one that I grew up on, and I'm gonna try to test the waters and see if little man will like it. And if not, well, we still got it, because I got it on the cheap, and that is the Real Ghostbusters TV show, the cartoon. And I really enjoyed this when I was growing up as a kid, and I would watch this all the time, like rather it was Saturday mornings, or if I was sick from school or whatever like that, I was always watching like this. I'm trying to think of all the other shows I watched, like G.I. Joe, Thundercats, Silverhawks, if those were still in rotation, because I know when it was like early on in grade school, they were still showing a lot of those old school 80s cartoons that were still kind of in rotation at that point in time, in addition to the Real Ghostbusters. But this was one, like I said, for the whole series, it was $28, which to me is not that bad. And let's see here, I don't have my glasses on. So there's over 100 episodes. So 100 episodes for $28. I mean, you can't beat that. You're basically paying 28 cents an episode. That is just bonkers cheap. But if you're a Ghostbusters fan and you've never watched this before, I'm sure, because when I went back and watched some of the OG Ninja Turtle stuff, the voice acting can kind of be a little cringe, but again, it's a kid's show, so, it's fine. But if you can muster through it, I mean, it's still, I remember it not being a bad show whatsoever, and one that you could definitely sit down and watch with the kiddos. So definitely, I would suggest getting the Real Ghostbusters. Right, next, got Maniac. It says it's a 4K. I'm not so sure because it is on a DVD. It's not Blu-ray, so this must have been the 4K, maybe before 4K. I don't know, but I was just trying to find the movie, period, because I don't care if it's DVD or Blu-ray quality. I just wanted the movie in my collection. And this was one that when I personally watched it, I was just blown away with how the presentation was. And again, there was a lot of grit to it, and the practical effects were really good. Just a brief overview. It's just like, you can tell he's got like kind of like, it's like Norman Bates vibes, kind of like Mommy Issues, right? And he goes around and he's killing women and stuff, but it's like during the day though, it's like, again, similar to Norman Bates, like comes off like normal and kind of like traverses everyday stuff like no big deal. But then at nighttime, he tries to, get with certain women to try to kill them and stuff like that. The movie itself, I thought was really good. My wife, not too much of a fan of it. She could care less for it, but I thought it was really good. And I don't mean to sound cliche for those of you that have seen this movie, but to this day, again, this movie was 1980. And the scene with the shotgun, my God, that thing, I just was like, man, if people saw that in theaters back in 1980, they might have actually thought somebody got shot point blank with that gun. It was that good for back then. So when I found this, I ended up getting it for, I believe it was just shy of $10. So I was just completely happy with that. I'm like, hey, I ain't gonna complain. I'm getting it for like 10 bucks. Cool. For any horror fan out there, if you have not watched the movie Maniac, I highly suggest it. And I'm not saying the one that was a remake with Elijah Wood is bad, but just make sure that you get the 1980 version that you watch first, and then maybe go ahead and watch the remake. That one I have nothing to say about because I've never watched it yet. But again, great movie and one you should check out. And last but not least, we have The Burning. And this one was your typical 80s horror where these kids like played a prank and ended up lighting him on fire, ends up getting disfigured, and then of course he wants to come back. Wants to come back to the campsite and seek revenge and kill the kids. So that is what the premises of the movie is. I never got around to watching it. I bought it because I was watching a documentary about horror movies, and this one got brought up. And just from what they showed on there, I was like, I'm sold. I am sold. I am sure it's going to be good. It's got everything that I look for in the vintage campsite killings like Friday the 13th and stuff. Like, I love that stuff. It draws me in. I don't know why, but I've always just kind of had that affinity for it, and I'm a sucker for it. It's an easy premise and I can just watch it over and over again. But I'm looking forward to watching that. And I'm sure, based off of what other horror fans have said, that it's really good and one that you should definitely check out. I will say, if you can find it somewhere, rather it's either on the cheap or even like maybe a free streaming source. I haven't looked myself. I probably should have. But if you can find it, I would definitely suggest trying to check it out. But that is all I had for today's video, guys. Let me know what your thoughts were on the pickups that I had today. And I will have some video game pickups coming here soon. I'm just waiting for them to come in the mail. But until then, thanks again for watching, everybody. And then I'll be seeing you in the next video.